Hello, good Sunday afternoon to you. Welcome. This is Insights in the New Wine Vineyard. I'm Selwyn Melville. Shayna Weston is occupied otherwise today, so I'm sitting in the chair. Hope you enjoy the package we have for you today. We will go to St. James, where in D-Bay, the Ascension Anglican School got a facelift, important facelift. We have a new chancellor in the Anglican Church in the Diocese of Trinidad and Tobago. And we'll also go to St. Jude's in Arima, where the church there celebrated its Family Day with a church service. All this and more when we come back. Every Sunday, 8 to 9 p.m., the Anglican Voice is on I-95.5 FM. Join the discussion and share your thoughts with us. The Anglican Voice, 8 to 9 p.m. every Sunday on I-95.5 FM. Welcome back. This is Insights in the New Wine Vineyard. We will go to Arima. St. Jude had their Family Day recently by way of a church service and other activities. So we will take in the church service and what transpired on that particular day.
Jesus is the supreme example to humanity of the sage advice given in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. There are two things worthy of note as we consider our gospel today. Firstly, Jesus spoke them after the Last Supper in the upper room in Jerusalem. So the imagery of wine, the fruit of the vine, would still be fresh in the mind of the 11 disciples who have remained with him. Secondly, we are at the start of John chapter 16. And chapter 15 ends with the words of Jesus, "Come now, let us leave." So it is highly likely that our passage occurs while Jesus and his disciples are en route from the upper room to the Garden of Gethsemane. They may well have to pass the temple, over the door of which hangs a beautifully crafted masterpiece, a great golden vine. They may well have also had to pass through vineyards on their way to Gethsemane. So the recent words and acts of Jesus during supper, the national religious symbol, and vineyards all seem to come into play as Jesus teaches. Remembrance of God's righteous indignation against his people in times past, due to their decadence and corruption, may well be now springing into the minds of the disciples as they walk to the garden and hear Jesus say, "He removes every branch in me that bears no fruit." But for fishermen, a tax collector, and some zealots, how much do they know of agricultural and vinicultural, that is grape-related, principles of pruning? Are they intelligent enough as yet to consider their own parents disciplining them when they were children? Because for grape picking, there were 2 harvests, not one. In springtime, certain branches that bore far more fruit than others in the early stage of growth would be pruned. You're hearing that? the ones that are growing far more than others would be pruned or cut back so as to conserve their energy for later. Similarly, we will want to cut the outer leaves of something like pak choy or mustard greens to allow further shoots to come from the center later. But are we conscious of the need to find ways to quiet down an extremely hyperactive child? Or to find ways to divert that child's attention so as to conserve the energy for later growth? Alternatively, do we find ways to divert the children's attention from being constantly glued to their cell phones? Or are we ourselves so glued to our cell phones that we don't think of the need to be able to talk to and with one another? If we fail here, what is the meaning of family? What is the purpose of Family Day? And where are we heading as a society? Are these simple acts of not being conscious of little things contributing factors to the big thing which ends in our own society's decadence and corruption?
So exciting Sunday with church out there in Arima, St. Jude. That followed with some testing for blood pressure and eyesight and all those activities to make up their family day, which was certainly a very exciting Sunday. Now we shift to another aspect of our program here, and we are looking at a new chancellor in the Anglican Church in the Diocese of Trinidad and Tobago. From one Madam Justice to another. Madam Justice Paula May Weeks, who was the Chancellor, has moved on to become President of Trinidad and Tobago. And Betsy Ann Lambert Peterson is now our new Chancellor. We spoke with her to find out what is required to become a Chancellor in the Anglican Church in the Diocese of Trinidad and Tobago.
I would say that the functions of the Chancellor can be as narrow or as broad as the bishop would like, because the chancellor is essentially the legal advisor to the bishop. That person has to be a lawyer, and I would think an experienced lawyer. So in the past, the chancellors have been Queen's Counsel, retired judges, and as we see in our immediate past chancellor, judge of the Supreme Court. Based on what I've seen, we are set on a particular trajectory, and we are already on course. It would seem, based on the strategic plan, that there are certain things that are to be put in place with a certain amount of immediacy. One of them is the Reconciliation Commission, and I see the Chancellor having a key role in that. We're very fortunate in Trinidad and Tobago because our bishop is somebody who is very close to the ground. He knows what is happening in all spheres of society, and very often, if you approach the bishop with something, it is something he has often already thought of. So I don't really see the Chancellor's role as expanding the scope. If, of course, there's something that happens in society that I think is noteworthy, I might raise it with the bishop. But generally, if the bishop wishes to have advice on anything, then the bishop would generally raise it with the Chancellor. But I look at it as being a very fluid relationship. I think it's noteworthy that the Chancellor takes his or her position as an appointment directly by the bishop. So therefore, the Chancellor has to be somebody that the bishop reposes his or her trust. In that case, I think that the parameters are essentially set by the bishop, but certainly the Chancellor, and certainly this Chancellor, I'm not shy. If I see something that I think is noteworthy, I wouldn't be shy to bring it to the bishop's attention. My bucket, all that I know, my parents, my siblings are all Anglicans, my grandparents on both sides, Anglicans. So that's what I know. But in addition to that, I enjoy my Anglican worship. I enjoy the Anglican brand of Christianity. I think we're very close to biblical principles, and I feel very, very comfortable in this church. The church has its own principles, its own teachings, and we are also free to interrogate those teachings and to come to a position that we are comfortable with. So the Anglican church that I know and love is not necessarily the Anglican church that my children know and love. And I think that there are certain aspects of the church that incrementally would need to change. And I think that is the reason why we are all working together in the new wine vineyard. And I have had the opportunity of sitting for 15 years as a magistrate and seeing firsthand the criminal justice system at work, and seeing the number of young people coming through the revolving doors of the criminal justice system. And I've also sat for many, many years doing family work, whilst as a magistrate and now as a High Court judge in the family court. If we get things right in the family division, then we are really not going to need so much in the criminal division, because that's where it starts. It starts in the home. There can be broken homes, but the way that persons, that is the parents, behave towards their children when the home is broken, that is what determines whether the child will make it out of that home as a whole person, able to make a positive contribution to society, or whether that child would be broken and would be looking for help outside of the family circle, and very often in the hands of persons who will leave them even more broken. Very often we look at what is wrong with the society. So for example, you asked me about crime, but we also have to look at what's right with the society. And I think we need to focus there a little while longer. So we look at the failure rates in terms of persons coming out of secondary school, but we could also look at what is positive in the children coming out of primary schools and try to build on it. We also look a lot at persons at a particular level of society, but we have to bear in mind that there are a significant number of persons, the persons who hold the reins of power, the persons who hold the reins of political and economic power, the persons who hold the reins of social power. Because you have to bear in mind that if somebody grows up and sees themselves represented in a particular way that is always negative, they will not feel that at any time they are enabled to hold the reins of any form of power. They feel powerless.
Mrs. Peterson, thank you very much. We hope that your role as Chancellor of the Anglican Church in the Diocese of Trinidad and Tobago will be a very successful and meaningful one. Now we close the program by going to St. James on the hill, Dibe, where Ascension Primary School got a remake, a relook, a makeover. So from Thursday last to Sunday, hundreds of workers came out through Project Care to give a new look to this school. Something to behold, something very special.
It was great to be part of seeing this transformation over a couple of days. It's a really amazing organization to be part of and just giving back to the community however you can. Can't wait to see how the kids are shocked and surprised to see their school transform over a weekend.
There's hope in all of us, there's reason to believe. We all have strength inside that someone else needs. It's the love that comes from your sisters and brothers. It's the kindness you give to others. That's what it takes to live united. We dream, we all have stories to tell. So many happy endings don't happen all by themselves. It's the smile that comes from a friend or a neighbor. It's the will that never wavers. That's what it takes to live united. Possible.
someone who grew up in this community and went to school right here. I'm so proud to see the work being done here, and the children are so going to enjoy what they did for them. I'm so happy.
It was a lot to handle, it was a lot to do, but it was fun. It's always rewarding, and the people give their all, and that is just great.
I am Michelle Nunez. I'm teacher from Cookery Government Primary, here today to support the International Day of Caring with Project Care. Last year our school was the recipient of this greatness that is happening here today. And I just had to give back. So I'm here today to help out as much as possible. This is the library. The transformation that is taking place is what is needed within communities like the Bay, even as in Cookery as well. But in these areas, the transformation is needed. One step at a time, one step, one change at a time. And that's what's happening here today. It's just magnificent. It's overwhelmingly good to see all hands on deck, people just coming and doing. Who had never had paint on their hands before have it today because they just have to do. It's just a great, great feeling, the togetherness that is needed within our lives, within our communities, within our schools. It's here today and it's just so, so good.
It's all a love thing, caring, sharing, and I would invite anyone who is able to look like year to year. It's a United Way project all over the world at this point in time of the year. Everybody tends to get into these type of projects and help around the nation however best they can.
Hi, my name is Anna, and this is my third year with Project Care, and it is a humbling and fantastic experience to be a part of such a wonderful project. The energy that you meet when you come here is just out of this world.
Live united. There's hope in all of us, there's reason to believe. We all have strength inside that someone else needs. It's the love that comes from your sisters and
Thank you very much, and we will care of you soon.
Are you all hopeful today?
Yes.
I want to tell you a little story about hopeful. The people who participate in Project Care, they are hopeful people. And do you know who they hope for? You. They believe in you. They hope that you will grow up to do your own Project Care. They hope that you will grow up today, even in your school, to help the person next to you and to pay attention to the teacher in your classroom and to pick up the rubbish off the floor and to say your prayers for your country. That's what hope is all about. It takes over 2,000 people to do this because everybody does a little part. And so you might say, that I'm on a little school in a hill, what can I do? Well, we are only 0.1%, and look at what you got. So if everybody does their part, what can happen? Amazing things, right? So when you walk around your school and you're amazed, I want you to think, what could I do? What could I become? Be hopeful.
Well, I am really stunned to see what has happened here. Now, I did not have the before, but I could tell that something magnificent, something extraordinary has happened here at the school compound. So on behalf of the church, the Anglican Church, I would like to thank Project CARE. I'd like the Mark and Matthew to extend to the rest of the group our sincerest thanks for your kindness, for your foresight, for your intention to develop the nation, and importantly, for bringing hope to the children of Ascension Anglican Primary School and the community. It is a portion of scripture that says, a city built on a hill cannot be hid. And this is true of Ascension Anglican Primary. It is on a hill and cannot be hid. And what Project CARE, joining with your teachers and parents, has reminded you of, has summoned you to, is to do your best and to make the best of the opportunity you have for learning and changing the landscape of our land and of this community. I especially like that Mark passed the ball to one of the students. They're well trained, so they didn't want to keep passing it to be distracting. But I think that's the idea. They have done it to you. What should happen from there? You got to pass it on. So when your time comes, you too will carry on this act of caring. And then somebody else will carry it on. And what we will have is a transformed community, a transformed nation, a transformed world.
Live united.
What was interesting was when they came back to school on Monday, everyone was in awe to see the transformation and what was done to ensure that these kids get a better look on life, much more hope and everything. And, you know, on behalf of the Anglican Church in the Diocese of Trinidad and Tobago, we want to say thank you very much, Project CARE, for what you have done for those youngsters. And we know it will be something very meaningful and can go a long way in helping these kids to foster better growth. We thank you very much for being with us today here on Insights in the New Wine Vineyard. Every last Sunday in the month, we are with you for a program, so we see you next month for yet another program. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and the rest of the week to come. Sheena will be back on the next program.